I drifted on the Pacific Ocean for 3 whole days. When I was about to die of thirst, I discovered a deserted island. I jumped into the sea and desperately pulled the rubber raft to shore. Then I ran into the jungle and found a ditch, where I lay down and drank water greedily. But when I had drunk my fill, I looked up and saw several thatched huts in the distance. This immediately put me on alert. To investigate the situation on the other side of the river, I hung my boots around my neck and swam across quietly. Then I pulled out a dagger from behind and carefully searched the thatched huts, but they were empty. However, looking at the neatly arranged wooden houses on the island and the fishing nets still hanging out to dry, I immediately realized that this place had once been inhabited. As I continued exploring, I discovered a church on the island. I walked inside and saw a nun coming out to sweep. She was greatly surprised to see me, as it was the first time she had seen a living person in 7 years. After confirming with her that there were no Japanese soldiers on the island, I relaxed my guard. I entered the church and, having not slept for 3 days, quickly fell asleep leaning against the wall. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by a bright light and saw that the nun was kneeling on the ground praying. I immediately rushed over to extinguish the candle and warned her that the light and smoke could be detected by Japanese troops dozens of kilometers away. She apologized for her ignorance and brought me some food. Having gone 3 days without food, I devoured it voraciously. At that point, I was so hungry I could have eaten a cow. After eating my fill, I told the nun I was an American military officer whose submarine had been sunk by the Japanese. To escape the brutality of war, I had no choice but to stay on the island to survive. However, food was scarce on the island, so I, who had undergone wilderness survival training, took on the task of finding food. I cut down bamboo and sharpened it. Then, I took the nun out to sea in a rubber raft to fish. Surprisingly, I spotted a turtle, so we paddled the rubber raft as quietly as possible to get closer to it. Then I took out my special tool and slipped it around the turtle's neck. But just as I was about to receive the nun's praise, the turtle suddenly dragged me into the sea. Clearly, I had underestimated the turtle's strength. The nun was terrified and paddled the rubber raft harder to follow the turtle. Fortunately, I was a skilled swimmer and eventually managed to pull the turtle onto the rubber raft. Back on shore, we enjoyed a delicious meal. But just then, the roar of a reconnaissance plane suddenly echoed through the sky. Fearing discovery, I grabbed a palm leaf, threw myself at the nun, and used it to cover us. After the reconnaissance plane had passed, I told the nun it was a Japanese reconnaissance plane surveying the island, and this island would soon become a Japanese military base. So I took her into a cave. Sure enough, the next day, the Japanese army bombed the island. The nun, who had never experienced war before, trembled in fear upon hearing the explosions. I did my best to comfort her and calm her down. After the bombing, we emerged from the cave and found that all the buildings on the deserted island had been reduced to rubble, and even the coconut trees had been knocked down. Worse still, I was horrified to discover that a Japanese warship was approaching the island. Soon, a large group of Japanese soldiers landed on the island. What should we do?